But as you stated earlier, conflict is not avoidable in a marriage. We're growing together, we're learning together, we're walking together.
Right.
We're not going to always agree. So, thinking of conflict, um, every marriage is going to face these. What advice would you give men on handling conflict in a way that strengthens rather than damages the relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a handful of things. One is there's a difference between getting triggered and resolving, resolving the issue. So getting triggered means something she did or didn't do, and I'm like from a 2 to a 10 all of a sudden. That is not the time to have the conversation about the future of the marriage. And until you get yourself calmed down, until you spin the energy dump that's happened in your brain when you got triggered uh, somewhere safe and healthy, and you're now back to calm, that you can't have the conversation that moves the marriage forward. So settle yourself down before you try to have the conversation with her. That doesn't mean it, weeks and months later. It does mean as soon as possible. Don't let the sun go down on your wrath is a good concept. It doesn't mean you have to do it tonight. It just means we need to do this sooner rather than later. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing. And then having a meeting about it that's future centric. We have the most problems in resolving conflict when we're all about what they did and arguing over the facts of what they did, and really more arguing about the motives behind what they did, which we don't know. We're not in their head, right?
Mhm.
So if we can just go, okay, that happened. I can't believe that happened. This is what I want going forward. I need to have a conversation with her about what I want in the future. Right? I really, when this happened, when this thing happened without motives, when this thing happened, what I experienced was, and what I want for us going forward, it would be really helpful. Would be this. Um, this is a helpful conversation. It can't happen when I'm triggered.
Mhm.
Look, the truth about getting triggered is the reason I get triggered about it isn't necessarily what specifically they did, because 10 husbands experiencing the same thing from their wives, so a few would get triggered and others wouldn't. Okay. Unless we've got a major trust buster that happened. That's the truth. It's about me. And it usually is about my story back in my childhood and the wounds and the identity and the things that we get at the Crucible Project. But your wife has those same issues, right? She has stuff in her life that you do something or you don't do something, and she gets triggered, and you're at shock because, like, what? Where did this come from? I think the lifelong marriage is me uh, discovering her hidden mines in the minefield and working through that with her in a caring and nurturing way. In
Mhm.
other words, when the first 10, 15 years of marriage, when I would trigger her and I couldn't understand why, and she was like at a 10 or 12, sometimes she was saying things that were really hurtful and all, I would match that. I would be
Right.
like, oh yeah, well,
Well, don't forget
and
what you did in '74. Look.
right.
Uh-huh.
That was not a winning solution for us.
Mhm.
Now, fast forward all these years, when she's triggered and she's coming at me, I really see, this little girl that's really hurt inside of her, and I don't have to match her. Like, I
Mhm.
know that that's something that I triggered. I stepped on a mine that I didn't know about, or I stepped on it in a new way. Maybe I knew about that mine, but oh, I didn't know that would be the thing that triggered her.
Right.
And now I get to have the conversation in a caring way, in a nurturing way. That's about the future right from the start, because I'm not getting triggered. I'm like, oh babe, wait, oh my goodness, I didn't mean for that. Oh my goodness. And yes, I did that, and it wasn't because of what you're saying, but I did it. And yeah, what do you need from me? That's the biggest question I ask when she's triggered. What do
Mhm.
you need from me right now? What do you need from me going forward? And I'm coming to her in love with that question. Like, I want to try to find a way to not step on the minefields, the mines that she has.
I like that.
And she's the same way, right? That whenever I get triggered, she's just like, oh, honey. You know? Now, we weren't like that for 10, 15 years, but
Right,
we've
right.
done enough of our own, both personal work
Mhm.
and also our own marriage work to be able to see each other in that way. And the way to do life together forever is to have the meetings about the things that there's conflict on when we're not triggered. And number two, to recognize that when we're triggered, it's not all about you.
Mhm.
You know, your spouse is triggered is not all about you. But so what she's saying or what, you know, what is probably not accurate and from a loving place. And if you keep the future focus in your interactions, then you're able to move the marriage through the conflict and toward.